Commander Zexai stood on the bridge of his warship and watched the stars burn. He had seen this sight so many times that he stopped counting after his first 100 battles. The enemy ships moved in the same patterns they always used. His own ships responded with the same tactics his father had taught him. Nothing ever changed. The Kalari Empire had been fighting the Threnodi Commonwealth for 300 years. Zexai was 45 years old, and he had never known peace. His father died in battle when Zexai was 12. His grandfather died fighting the same enemy when his father was young. Now Zexai commanded a fleet of 200 ships, and he wondered if his own son would die the same way. "Sir, the enemy is moving into Formation 7, his weapons officer reported. The young Kalari's scales were still bright green, showing his youth. He had only been in space for 2 years. "Respond with Pattern 12, Zexai ordered. He did not need to think about it. Pattern 12 always came after Formation 7. The enemy knew this. His crew knew this. Everyone in the galaxy knew this. The war had become a dance that both sides performed without thinking. The space between the two fleets filled with bright lights as energy weapons fired. Shields flashed and sparked. Some ships on both sides took damage. A few would be destroyed. Then both fleets would pull back, repair their ships, and do the same thing again in a few months. Zexai's communication officer looked up from his station. "Sir, we have a message from Admiral Threnka. Put it on screen." The image of his enemy appeared before him. Admiral Threnka of the Threnodi Commonwealth looked as tired as Zexai felt. Her insect-like features showed no emotion, but Zexai had been fighting her for 15 years. He could see the weariness in her large, compound eyes. "Commander Zexai," she said in her clicking voice, "your ships fight well today." "As do yours, Admiral. Your Formation 7 was perfectly executed." "Thank you. Shall we continue with the usual pattern?" Zexai almost smiled. Even in the middle of battle, they were polite to each other. After 15 years of fighting, they knew each other better than most friends. "Of course. Pattern 12. Seems appropriate?" "I agree. My ships will respond with Counter Formation 5. "Naturally. Until next time, Admiral." "Until next time, Commander." The screen went dark. Both fleets resumed their careful dance of destruction. This was how the war worked. Both sides knew what the other would do. Both sides responded exactly as expected. Ships were damaged, people died, and nothing was accomplished. On the other side of the battle, Admiral Threnka watched her enemies' ships move into their predictable pattern. She had been fighting this war for 22 years. Before her, her mother had commanded the same fleet against Zexai's father. Before that, her grandmother had fought Zexai's grandfather. The Threnodi were proud of their military tradition. They kept detailed records of every battle, every tactic, every formation. Their war college taught the same lessons that had been taught for 3 centuries. Young officers learned the proper responses to every situation. There were rules for everything. Threnka sometimes wondered what would happen if someone broke the rules. But that was not the Threnodi way. Rules existed for good reasons. The war continued because both sides followed the rules. Her tactical officer buzzed to get her attention. "Admiral, the enemy has completed Pattern 12. Shall we proceed with Counterformation 5? "Yes, of course." Threnka gave the order she had given hundreds of times before. Her ships moved into position. Weapons fired. The dance continued. The war had started over mining rights in the Vega sector. Both the Kalari Empire and the Threnodi Commonwealth wanted to mine the rare crystals found in that region of space. Neither side would give up their claim. Neither side would share. So they fought. At first, the war had been about winning. Both sides tried new tactics. They built new weapons. They looked for advantages. But after 100 years, everyone who remembered the original dispute was dead. After 200 years, both sides had forgotten why they were fighting. After 300 years, the war had become tradition. The Vega sector was now a wasteland. The planets had been bombed so many times that nothing could live there. The mining stations had been destroyed and rebuilt dozens of times. The valuable crystals were long gone. But the fighting continued, because no one knew how to stop. Other species in the galaxy watched the war with growing fear. The Kalari and Threnody were the two most powerful civilizations in known space. Their endless conflict had already consumed dozens of star systems. Smaller species worried that eventually the war would spread to their worlds. Some had tried to make peace between the two empires. All had failed. The Kalari and Threnody were too proud to admit that the war was pointless. Too many had died for either side to back down now. The war had its own momentum, like a massive machine that no one knew how to turn off. Back on the bridge of his flagship, HFY received reports from his ship captains. 3 vessels had taken heavy damage. 1 was completely destroyed. 47 of his people were dead. The enemy had lost similar numbers. In a few hours, both fleets would withdraw to safe distance and tend to their wounded. "Sir," his science officer called out. "I am detecting something unusual." HFY looked up from his damage reports. "What kind of something?" "A ship, sir, but not one of ours or theirs. It appears to be approaching from the outer system." "Pirates?" "No, sir. The ship is too small to be a pirate vessel, but it is moving under its own power. And, sir, it is broadcasting a message on all frequencies." "What does it say?" The science officer checked his instruments. "It says, 'Hello, we are explorers from the planet Earth. We come in peace and wish to make contact with your civilizations.'" HFY had never heard of Earth. "Put me in contact with Admiral Threnka." A moment later, his enemy's image appeared on screen again. "Commander, are you detecting the strange ship?" "Yes. Have you heard of this Earth?" "No. But the ship appears to be primitive. Its technology is centuries behind ours. Shall we destroy it?" Threnka considered this. "It claims to come in peace. Perhaps we should speak with them first. The war can wait a few minutes." "Agreed. I will contact them." The screen changed to show the bridge of the alien vessel. The creature standing there was unlike anything HFY had ever seen. It had only 2 arms, 2 legs, and skin that looked soft and fragile. Its eyes were small and round, and hair grew from the top of its head. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the exploration vessel UES Horizon," the alien said. "We have just discovered your civilizations and wish to establish peaceful relations." "I am Commander HFY of the Kalari Empire," HFY replied. "You have arrived in the middle of a war zone. It is not safe here." "A war zone?" The human looked confused. "How long have you been fighting?" 300 years. The human's face showed an expression HFY did not recognize. Later, he would learn it was called shock. 300 years? You have been fighting the same war for 3 centuries? Yes. It is our way. But why? What are you fighting about? HFY paused. No one had asked him that question in a very long time. "We fight because we have always fought. It is what we do." The human looked even more confused. "But there must be a reason. There must be something you are trying to achieve." "Victory, of course." "And in 300 years has either side achieved victory?" HFY did not answer immediately. The question seemed strange to him. Victory was not something you achieved once and then stopped. Victory was something you pursued forever. Wasn't it? The human waited for an answer, but HFY had none to give. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon and tried to understand what he was seeing. 2 massive fleets faced each other across empty space. Each fleet had hundreds of ships, some larger than entire cities back on Earth. The weapons on those ships could destroy planets. But instead of fighting with everything they had, both sides seemed to be following some kind of script. "Captain," his communication officer said, "both fleet commanders want to speak with you." Put them both on screen. The bridge display split to show 2 very different alien faces. On the left was Commander HFY, whose reptilian features reminded Jake of the dinosaurs in old movies. On the right was Admiral Threnka, who looked like a giant praying mantis with intelligent eyes. "Captain Morrison," Commander HFY said, "you should leave this area immediately. It is not safe for such a small ship." Admiral Threnka clicked in agreement. The commander is correct, this is a war zone. Your vessel could be destroyed by accident. Jake looked from one alien to the other. I appreciate your concern, but I have to ask something. You have been fighting for 300 years. Why? Both aliens stared at him. The question seemed to confuse them. We fight because we are enemies, Zexai finally said. But why are you enemies? Because we have been fighting for 300 years, Threnka replied. Jake realized he was going in circles. Let me ask this differently. What do you want to achieve? What would make you stop fighting? Again, both aliens looked puzzled. We want to win, Zexai said. Okay, what does winning look like? What happens when you win? Neither alien had an answer for that question. Jake spent the next several hours talking to both commanders. He learned about the original dispute over mining rights. He learned about the hundreds of battles that had been fought. He learned about the complex rules and traditions that governed how the war was conducted. But he could not learn why the war continued. The Vega sector has been destroyed, Jake pointed out. There is nothing left to mine. So why are you still fighting over it? Because it belongs to us, both aliens said at the same time. Then they glared at each other. But it is completely worthless now. There is nothing there but radioactive rocks. That is not the point, Zexai said. The point is that it is ours. No, it is ours, Threnka corrected. Jake shook his head. You are fighting over a pile of radioactive rocks that neither of you can use. Yes, both aliens agreed. Jake realized that this conversation was not going to solve anything. I need to report this to my government. Can you both agree to not shoot at each other while I send a message to Earth? Both commanders looked offended. We do not shoot randomly, Zexai said. We follow proper battle protocols. The next engagement is not scheduled for 6 hours, Threnka added. We need time to repair our ships first. You schedule your battles? Of course. How else would we do it? Jake did not answer that question. Instead, he ordered his communication officer to send a priority message to Earth. The message would take several days to reach home, but Jake wanted to make sure Earth's leaders understood what they were dealing with. On Earth, the message arrived at the Global Defense Council headquarters in Geneva. General Lisa Hayes read the report 3 times before she believed it. She immediately called an emergency meeting of the council. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, we have a situation. Our first contact with alien civilizations has revealed something extraordinary. 2 massive interstellar empires have been fighting a war for 3 centuries. According to Captain Morrison's report, they no longer remember why they are fighting. President John Carter leaned forward in his chair. The former general had seen many conflicts, but nothing like this. 300 years? That is longer than our country has existed. Longer than most of our countries have existed, agreed Secretary of Defense Maria Santos. But here is the interesting part. According to Morrison, both sides want the war to end, but neither knows how to stop without losing face. Dr. Paul Bennett, the lead xenobiologist, pulled up images from Morrison's report. Look at their fleet compositions. Look at their battle tactics. Everything is standardized. Everything follows patterns. They have turned warfare into a ritual. Intelligence Director Frank Collins had been studying the tactical data. Their technology is far ahead of ours in many ways. Their ships are faster, their weapons more powerful. But their strategies are completely predictable. They fight the same battles over and over again. What do you mean? President Carter asked. Collins activated a holographic display. Morrison was able to record several hours of their battle. Watch this. The display showed the 2 alien fleets moving in complex patterns. The Kalari move into what they call Formation 7. The Threnodi respond with Counter Formation 5. The Kalari then use Pattern 12. The Threnodi use Counter Formation 5. Every time. They are not trying to win, General Hayes realized. They are performing a dance. Exactly. They have forgotten that the purpose of war is to achieve political goals. For them, war has become the goal itself. President Carter was quiet for a long moment. What are our options? We could stay out of it, Santos suggested. This is not our fight. But it could become our fight, Collins pointed out. These two empires control most of the local galaxy. If their war spreads, it will eventually reach Earth. Dr. Bennett added, there is also the humanitarian aspect. Billions of people have died in this war. Billions more will die if it continues. And there is the strategic aspect, General Hayes said. If we can help end this war, we establish ourselves as peacemakers. That gives us a position of respect in galactic politics. President Carter nodded slowly. What would it take to end their war? Someone has to break the pattern, Collins said. Someone has to show them a different way to fight. Or better yet, a way to stop fighting. But their technology is centuries ahead of ours, Santos objected. How can we possibly intervene in a war between civilizations that advanced? General Hayes smiled grimly. Advanced technology is not the same as advanced thinking. These aliens have forgotten how to adapt. They follow the same patterns because those patterns are all they know. But we humans are very good at breaking patterns. What do you have in mind? President Carter asked. We send a fleet, not to fight alongside either side, but to end the fighting altogether. With what? We have 12 ships capable of interstellar travel. They have thousands. We don't need to match their numbers. We need to change the rules of the game. Dr. Bennett looked worried. This could be very dangerous. If we make a mistake, we could trigger a war between both alien empires and Earth. If we do nothing, we guarantee that the war will eventually reach Earth anyway, Hayes replied. Better to act now while we have some element of surprise. President Carter made his decision. General Hayes, you have authorization to plan a peacekeeping mission. But I want detailed plans before we commit to anything. And I want every possible precaution taken to protect Earth. Understood, sir. As the meeting broke up, each official returned to their departments to begin planning humanity's first major intervention in galactic affairs. None of them fully understood what they were undertaking. They were about to pit 12 human ships against 2 alien empires that had been perfecting the art of war for 3 centuries. But humans had always been good at facing impossible odds. And sometimes, the most important advantage was not superior technology or greater numbers. Sometimes the most important advantage was simply seeing the problem from a different angle. Back in space, Captain Morrison continued his conversations with both alien commanders. He was beginning to understand that this war had become something like a religious ritual for both sides. Neither commander wanted to fight, but both felt obligated to continue the traditions of their ancestors. Morrison wondered if his message to Earth would make any difference. He hoped his leaders would find a way to help these strange, proud aliens break free from their endless cycle of destruction. He did not know that back on Earth, plans were already being made to do exactly that. Admiral Kate Wilson stood in the command center at Luna Base and watched 12 human ships prepare for humanity's most dangerous mission. Each ship carried the best crew Earth could provide. Each ship had been equipped with experimental weapons and systems that had never been tested in real combat. But Kate knew that technology alone would not win this fight. They needed something more important than better weapons. They needed better ideas. Admiral, Colonel Ryan Parker said as he entered the command center, the fleet is ready to depart. Kate nodded. Ryan was her chief strategist, a man who had studied every recorded battle between the Kalari and Threnody. He had found patterns that even the aliens themselves did not see. Tell me again why you think this will work, Kate said. Ryan activated a holographic display showing the alien battle formations. Look at this data. For 300 years, both sides have used the same 17 basic formations. When the Kalari use Formation 7, the Threnody always respond with Counter Formation 5. Always. They have done this exact sequence 437 times. And they never change? Never. They have rules for everything. The Kalari attack first on odd-numbered days. The Threnody attack first on even-numbered days. They always fight for exactly 6 hours, then withdraw for repairs. They always give their enemies time to rescue survivors. They have turned war into a ceremony. Kate shook her head. But they are still killing each other. Yes, but inefficiently. If either side really wanted to win, they could have done it centuries ago. Instead, they fight just hard enough to maintain the illusion of trying to win, but not hard enough to actually end the war. Lieutenant Commander Amy Foster joined them at the display. She was the fleet's technical specialist, responsible for the new systems they would be using. The psychological profiles support Ryan's analysis, she said. Both sides are trapped by their own traditions. They cannot change their tactics because change would mean admitting that their ancestors were wrong. So how do we break the cycle? Kate asked. We show them something completely different, Ryan replied. Something they have never seen before. Something that does not fit their rules. Kate understood the plan, but she still worried about the risks. We are taking 12 ships against 2 fleets that have over 1,000 ships each. If this goes wrong, we could start a war between Earth and both alien empires. If we do nothing, that war will come eventually anyway, Amy pointed out. At least this way we choose when and how to fight it. Kate made her final decision. Send the order. All ships are to jump to the target system in 1 hour. The 12 human ships left Earth's solar system together. Each ship was small compared to the alien vessels, but they carried something the aliens had lost long ago. They carried the ability to surprise. Captain Tony Miller commanded the UES Peacemaker, the lead ship in the human fleet. As they approached the battle zone, he reviewed the mission one more time. They were not going to attack either alien fleet directly. Instead, they were going to demonstrate a completely different way of fighting. Captain, his tactical officer reported, we are detecting both alien fleets. They are positioning for another battle. How many ships? The Kalari have 237 ships. The Threnodi have 241. Tony whistled softly. Each alien ship was at least 10 times larger than his own vessel. Some were 50 times larger. But size was not everything. Signal the fleet. Begin deployment of the swarm units. Each human ship carried 1,000 small drones. The drones were not very powerful individually, but they were designed to work together. Each drone could think for itself, but they could also share information instantly with all the other drones. 12,000 drones could act like a single intelligent organism with 12,000 eyes and 12,000 hands. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Commander HFY was preparing for another routine battle when his sensors detected something unusual. What are those small objects? His science officer checked the readings. Unknown, sir. They appear to be some kind of mechanical devices. Very small. There are thousands of them. Are they weapons? I do not know, sir. They are not matching any known weapon signatures. Admiral Threnka was having the same conversation on her flagship. Where did these objects come from? The human ships, Admiral. Each human vessel appears to have released approximately 1,000 small units. What are they doing? They appear to be organizing themselves, Admiral. Both alien commanders watched in confusion as the human drones formed complex 3-dimensional patterns in space. The drones moved with perfect coordination, like flocks of birds or schools of fish. But these were not natural creatures. These were machines that somehow moved as if they shared a single mind. Captain Jake Morrison, still observing from the UES horizon, opened communications to both alien fleets. Commander HFY, Admiral Threnka, please observe what happens when someone fights differently. What are you doing? HFY demanded. We are ending your war. Impossible. You only have 12 ships. We have 12 ships, Jake agreed. But we have 12,000 minds working as one. The demonstration began. The human drone swarms approached both alien fleets simultaneously. The aliens tried to respond with their standard defensive patterns, but the patterns had been designed to fight against large ships, not swarms of tiny, fast-moving targets. When the Kalari fired their main weapons at the drones, the swarm simply flowed around the energy beams like water flowing around rocks. When the Threnodi tried to use their scatter charges, the drones instantly reorganized into formations that made the scatter charges useless. They are adapting, Admiral Threnka reported to her tactical officer. Every time we try a new defense, they change their approach within seconds. How is that possible? I do not know. Commander Zexhai was having even more trouble. His ships were designed for long-range combat against other large ships. The drones got close enough to touch his vessel's hulls, then began doing something no one expected. They started taking his ships apart. "Sir, the small objects are removing our weapon systems," his weapons officer reported. "They are not destroying them. They are carefully disconnecting them. Can we stop them?" "No, sir. They are too small and too fast for our weapons to target effectively." The same thing was happening to the Threnody fleet. The drones swarmed over, their ships like ants, carefully removing weapons, disabling shields and shutting down engines. But they did not harm any of the crew members. This was not an attack meant to kill. This was an attack meant to demonstrate a point. Within 2 hours, both mighty fleets were completely helpless. Not a single alien had been killed, but every weapon system had been disabled. Every shield generator had been shut down. Every engine had been turned off. The two most powerful military forces in the galaxy had been rendered harmless by tiny machines they could barely see. Admiral Kate Wilson's voice echoed across both fleets' communication systems. "Commanders, you have just experienced something your civilizations had forgotten. You have experienced change. For 300 years, you have fought the same way, using the same tactics, following the same patterns. But war is not a ritual. War is about adapting faster than your enemy." "What do you want from us?" Commander Zexhai asked. "We want you to remember that the purpose of fighting is to achieve peace. You have been so focused on the fighting that you forgot about the peace." Admiral Threnka's voice was quiet. "You have defeated both of our fleets without killing anyone." "How?" "We used something you had forgotten how to use. We used new ideas." Captain Miller ordered the drones to begin repairing the alien ship's life support systems while leaving their weapons disabled. "We are not your enemies," he broadcast to both fleets. "We are not here to conquer you. We are here to help you remember something important." "What is that?" both alien commanders asked. "That. Sometimes the best way to win a war is to stop fighting it." Commander Zexhai floated in his command chair, staring at the displays that showed his fleet's complete helplessness. Every weapon was offline. Every shield was down. His mighty dreadnought, which had survived 300 years of warfare, had been defeated by machines so small he could barely see them. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "we are receiving a message from the human fleet. Put it through." Admiral Kate Wilson appeared on his screen. She was a small creature compared to his own impressive size, but she had just accomplished something that no Kalari or Threnody commander had managed in 3 centuries. She had won. "Commander Zexhai," Wilson said, "I want to speak with you, and Admiral Threnka together. Will you accept a 3-way communication?" Zexhai had never spoken directly to his enemy except during battle. The idea felt strange. But then again, everything about this day had been strange. "I will accept." Admiral Threnka's image appeared on the other side of his screen. For the first time in 15 years, Zexhai could see her clearly without weapons fire between them. She looked as confused as he felt. "Commanders," Wilson began, "you both have questions. I will try to answer them. But first, I want you to understand something important. My ships could have destroyed both of your fleets completely. We chose not to." "Why?" Threnka asked. "Because destroying you would not solve the real problem. The real problem is that you have both forgotten why you started fighting." Zexhai bristled at this. "We fight for honor. We fight for our people. We fight because the enemy refuses to surrender." "I will never surrender," Threnka declared. "My people have shed too much blood to give up now." Wilson nodded as if she had expected these answers. "How much blood exactly? How many of your people have died in this war?" Both commanders paused. It was not a question they were used to answering. "Many," Zexhai finally said. "Billions," Threnka added. "And what have those billions of deaths accomplished?" Again, neither commander had a ready answer. "Let me ask a different question," Wilson continued. "What would victory look like? If you won this war completely, what would happen next?" Zexhai thought about this. The enemy would be defeated. The Vega sector would belong to us. But the Vega sector is completely destroyed. There is nothing there worth having. It is the principle that matters. What principle? That we do not give up what is ours. Wilson turned to Threnka. Admiral, what would victory mean to you? The sector would belong to us, not them.
So you are both fighting for the right to own a pile of radioactive rocks that neither of you can use? Both aliens looked uncomfortable. When Wilson put it that way, the war sounded foolish. It is more complicated than that, Threnka insisted. Is it? Help me understand the complications.
Neither commander spoke for a long moment. Wilson waited patiently. Finally, she said, "Can I tell you what I see? I see two proud civilizations that have trapped themselves in a cycle they no longer control. You continue fighting because stopping would mean admitting that all those deaths were for nothing, but continuing to fight guarantees that even more deaths will be for nothing. You do not understand," Zexai said. "We have traditions, honor codes. Our ancestors died for this cause. Your ancestors started fighting over mining rights. Would they want you to continue fighting over an empty wasteland? The cause is bigger than mining rights now," Threnka argued. "It is about who we are as a people." "Who are you as a people?" Wilson asked. "Are you warriors who can only define yourselves through conflict? Or are you something more?" Both commanders fell silent again. Wilson took a different approach. "While we have been talking, my people have been analyzing your fleets and your tactics. Do you want to know what we discovered?" "What?" both aliens asked together. "You have not been trying to win for over a century. You have been trying to maintain balance." "That is ridiculous," Zexai protested. "Is it? Look at your battle records. When one side starts winning too many battles, the other side always manages to recover. When the Kalari captured 3 Threnody systems in 2387, the Threnody captured 4 Kalari systems the next year. When the Threnody developed better shields in 2401, the Kalari developed better weapons to match them." Wilson displayed data from both fleets' own computers. "You have been unconsciously cooperating to keep the war going. Neither side really wants to win, because winning would end the war, and the war has become your entire culture." Both commanders stared at the data. The patterns were undeniable once someone pointed them out. "This is impossible," Threnka whispered. "Look at your own formation patterns," Wilson continued. "You always give each other time to evacuate damaged ships. You always warn each other before using particularly dangerous weapons. You have unwritten rules that prevent either side from gaining too much advantage." Zexai felt something crack inside his chest. "Are you saying this has all been meaningless?" "No," Wilson said firmly. "I am saying it has been the wrong kind of meaningful. You have turned war into a ritual that honors your past instead of building your future." "Then, what do you suggest?" Threnka asked. "How do we stop 300 years of tradition? The same way you started it. With a choice." Wilson gestured to someone off-screen. A moment later, Captain Jake Morrison appeared. "Commanders, Captain Morrison has been studying your histories. He has a proposal." Morrison cleared his throat, nervously. He was just an explorer, not a diplomat, but he had become the bridge between these alien civilizations and his own people. "Commanders," Morrison began, "what if I told you that the Vega sector could be valuable again?" "Impossible," both aliens said together. "It has been bombed into wasteland." "Yes, but wasteland can be restored. My people have experience with this. We nearly destroyed our own planet once, but we learned how to fix it." "You want us to work together?" Zexai asked, disbelief clear in his voice. "Think about it," Morrison continued. "You have both spent 3 centuries perfecting different technologies. The Kalari have developed the best weapons and armor in the galaxy. The Threnody have created the most advanced shields and sensors. If you combined your knowledge instead of using it against each other, you could rebuild not just the Vega sector, but dozens of systems that have been damaged by the war. We would never trust them," Threnka stated flatly. "We would never trust them either," Zexai agreed. You don't have to trust each other, Wilson said. You just have to trust us. Humanity can serve as mediators. We can oversee any joint projects. We can make sure neither side cheats. Why would you do this? Threnka asked suspiciously. Because war is expensive and peace is profitable, Wilson replied honestly. A galaxy at war threatens everyone, including Earth. A galaxy at peace benefits everyone, including Earth. Morrison added, and because it is the right thing to do. Billions of people have died. It is time for billions more to live. Both alien commanders sat quietly, processing what they had heard. The humans had defeated their fleets in hours, but they were offering partnership instead of conquest. They were proposing cooperation instead of submission. I need to consult with my government, HFY finally said. As do I, Threnka agreed. Take all the time you need, Wilson said. But while you are deciding, my ships will remain here to ensure that no more fighting occurs. The war is over, commanders. Now you get to choose what comes next. 3 months later, Commander HFY stood in a place he never thought he would see. He was aboard a Threnody ship, watching Threnody engineers work alongside his own people. They were not fighting. They were not arguing. They were building something together. The change had not been easy. When HFY returned to the Kalari homeworld, the High Council had been furious. How dare he even consider peace with the ancient enemy? How dare he suggest working with the creatures they had fought for 3 centuries? But the humans had done something very smart. They had shared their recordings of the battle with both governments. Every Kalari leader could see how completely their mighty fleet had been defeated. Every Threnody official could watch their own ships being taken apart by tiny machines. The message was clear. Humanity could protect their friends and destroy their enemies. It was better to be humanity's friend. Commander, his aide approached him. The human representative is ready for the ceremony. HFY nodded and walked to the ship's main assembly hall. Admiral Threnka was already there, wearing formal robes instead of battle armor. It felt strange to see her without weapons. It felt even stranger to be glad that she was safe. Captain Jake Morrison entered the hall carrying a small device. Behind him came Admiral Wilson and several other human officials. The humans looked very small compared to the aliens around them, but everyone in the room knew who really held the power here. Commanders, Morrison began. 3 months ago, you were enemies. Today, you are partners. This transformation did not happen because we forced you to change. It happened because you chose to change. Morrison activated the device and a holographic display appeared above their heads. It showed the Vega sector, as it had been before the war. Green planets covered with cities and farms, space stations, bustling with trade ships, millions of people living peaceful, productive lives. This is what you are working to rebuild, Morrison continued. Not just the Vega sector, but dozens of systems that were damaged by the war. Your children will grow up in a galaxy where Kalari and Threnody work together instead of fighting each other. Threnka spoke first. Captain Morrison, 3 months ago my people thought peace was impossible. We believed that some wounds were too deep to heal. You have proven us wrong. You proved yourselves wrong, Morrison replied. We just gave you the opportunity to see things differently. HFY stepped forward. The humans have taught us something important. They showed us that the strongest force in the universe is not the ability to destroy, but the wisdom to build. Admiral Wilson joined Morrison at the front of the hall. The Treaty of Terra is ready for signing. This agreement establishes permanent peace between the Kalari Empire and the Threnody Commonwealth. It also creates the Galactic Reconstruction Project, which will restore the systems damaged by the war. She gestured to a floating table that held the formal treaty documents. But before you sign, I want you to understand what this really means. You are not just ending a war. You are beginning a new era in galactic history. HFY and Threnka approached the table together. For the first time in 3 centuries, leaders of both civilizations would put their names on the same document, as allies instead of enemies. Admiral Wilson, Threnka said, what does humanity gain from this peace? Wilson smiled. Security, prosperity, and the knowledge that we helped save billions of lives. That is all? That is everything. HFY picked up the signing device. 300 years ago, my ancestors chose war. Today, I choose peace. He pressed his E palm to the scanner, officially binding the Kalari Empire to the treaty. Threnka followed. For 3 centuries, my people believed that strength came from defeating enemies. Today, we learn that true strength comes from making enemies into friends. Her palm print joined Zexhai's on the document. Morrison added his own signature as the human witness. The war that lasted 3 centuries is officially over. The hall erupted in cheers from both Kalari and Threnody crew members. Many of them were crying. Some had never known peace in their entire lives. But the signing ceremony was only the beginning. Over the following weeks, both civilizations began the difficult work of actually implementing peace. Old hatreds did not disappear overnight. Many citizens on both sides remained suspicious of their former enemies. General Dan Stewart, humanity's military advisor assigned to oversee the peace process, worked tirelessly to solve problems as they arose. When some Kalari colonies refused to trade with Threnody merchants, Stewart organized joint cultural exchanges. When Threnody scientists were afraid to share their research with Kalari engineers, Stewart arranged for human scientists to serve as intermediaries. The key, Stewart explained to Morrison during one of their regular meetings, is to give both sides something to gain from peace that they could never get from war. The breakthrough came when the first joint construction project began. A new space station in the restored Vega sector would serve as a symbol of cooperation between the 2 former enemies. Kalari shipbuilders provided the hull and structure. Threnody technicians installed the advanced computer systems. Human coordinators made sure everything worked together properly. Captain Lisa Morgan, a human specialist in psychological warfare, had been assigned to study the peace process. She reported back to Earth that the changes were remarkable. Both civilizations are rediscovering parts of themselves they had forgotten, she wrote in her official report. The Kalari are naturally excellent builders and engineers, but they had focused so completely on making weapons that they forgot how to make other things. The Threnody are brilliant scientists and explorers, but they had spent so long developing military technology that they stopped advancing civilian research. Now that they are working together, both civilizations are advancing faster than they have in centuries. The Kalari are building the most beautiful structures anyone has ever seen. The Threnody are making scientific discoveries that benefit everyone in the galaxy. 6 months after the treaty signing, Morrison received an unexpected message. It was from a small species called the Divari, who lived in a distant part of the galaxy. They had heard about humanity's success in ending the Kalari-Threnody War. "We have our own conflict," the Divari ambassador explained. "2 of our nations have been fighting for 50 years. We cannot stop. Can you help us the way you helped them?" Morrison smiled as he read the message. This was exactly what humanity had hoped for. By ending one war, they had established themselves as the galaxy's peacemakers. Other species would come to them for help. Earth would become the center of galactic diplomacy. He sent a reply immediately. "We will be glad to help. Peace is much better than war, and we are very good at showing people how to choose peace." 1 year after the signing of the Treaty of Terra, Commander Zexhai and Admiral Threnka stood together on the observation deck of the new Vega station. Through the transparent walls, they could see construction ships from both their civilizations working side by side. "Do you ever miss the war?" Threnka asked. Zexhai considered the question seriously. "I miss the certainty. War was simple. You knew who your enemies were and what you had to do. Peace is more complicated, but better. Much better. My son will grow up in a galaxy where Kalari and Threnody are friends. He will build things instead of destroying them. He will explore new worlds instead of bombing old ones." Threnka clicked in agreement. The humans were right. The strongest force in the universe is not the ability to win wars, but the wisdom to end them. In the distance, they could see human ships patrolling the sector. The humans had kept their promise to protect the peace. But more importantly, they had kept their promise to show both civilizations that peace was possible. The war that had lasted 3 centuries was truly over. The peace that followed would last much longer.